Hello, everybody. Welcome to Long Bangers Phone In with me, Matty, and with John. And it's an association with Leith Spirits, which I forgot to say last week. John, at the moment, you're the only person on the phone in, which I think is a first
Can I,
for
can
us.
I just can I just encourage anybody who's looking in or watching that it's nowhere near as scary as you think it is,
I'm
and please just call in.
just checking that we've actually gone live because I never saw the pop up for it, which normally comes up. There we are. I've got it now. We are indeed live. I might take the extraordinary step of posting the Zoom details uh, onto the YouTube
Absolutely,
chat.
go for it.
So if anybody's watching, they can just join
Well,
in. You do run the risk of getting interlopers, but
I was
that's
going to say, is there
all
not a
right.
Falkirk fan that keeps following and jumping in, and he wants to have a chat? So
Aye, sometimes like give me a second. This is like a first for us. So what we were going to talk about tonight, John, anyway, was I was on with the Hibs Observer earlier in the week, just yesterday, and we were talking about really the importance of the next 5 or 6 games for Hibs. So we've got Dundee United twice in that time. We've got Hearts, we've got St Mirren again, and uh, Ross County
Ross County.
away. So quite I suppose like a favourable run of fixtures, but not an easy run of fixtures. What do you think of them? First of all,
And there's another international break at the end of them.
happy days. Like there's been a ridiculous amount
Well,
of
there's an
international
international
breaks.
break in the semi-finals, I think, are the what gets in the way. No, I think that the we sit disappointed with the season so far. I mean, there's too many maybes and could have beens at the moment.
Hmm.
The game at Tannadice at the weekend, there's no must wins at this time of the season, but the team need to be doing enough to build their own confidence and get the fans behind them. So you're at an away ground. We've got the first time I've been in the shed behind the goals. I'm
Hmm.
expecting that that's sold out, so there's going to be an atmosphere brought by the crowd, and you're just looking for them to build from that. Kukurevich, it'd be nice for him to get back into the goals. I mean, he should have scored the penalty at Ibrox. We've discussed that. Had chances against Motherwell. Yeah, let's just take the chances. I mean, if we are on top of the game, let's get the ball in the back of the net and put the pressure onto the home team. Let's do what everybody does to us. Give the home fans something to be moaning about, pissed off about, because their team's not playing as well as you think they should be because Hibs are rubbish. Everybody
Hmm.
beats Hibs. I mean, all that sort of stuff. Because it's as easy for us to turn that round than somebody like United.
Do you think United will see us as a like not an easy scalp, but a scalp that they can get at?
There's probably lots of teams that see us as just that injured fish at the moment. That we should be doing better, and we could be doing better, and it will turn around at some point. That'll be the classic idea, is it will turn at some point, but they want to be the team that continues with the idea that we have our hard luck story, we make chances, we don't
Hmm.
take them, and they nick one at the other end. But I think our defence is doing well, and I think for that one, yeah, we just have to go in and play the first 60 minutes against Motherwell, take that through the whole 90. I mean, we hardly gave them a chance.
Hmm.
Hopefully, we'll have players back. I've not seen anything sort of media wise to say who's back, who's not. Newell and Boyle, you'd hope would come back in to contention, if not into the first team. That gives us better options. Hoylett is going to create chances for us. And it just gets to the stage, yeah, push on. And your decision is going to be energy or craft in the middle of the pitch.
Uh, and right, so if we look further ahead than Saturday, which is always dangerous, isn't it? Like that, the cliche about taking one game at a time, and we always go, fuck that, let's go 6 games at a time. Um, there are teams that are round about where we want to be. I think obviously Hearts are bottom of the league and we didn't want to be there, but you would expect Hearts over the course of the season will probably pull away for the bottom of the league. We need to pull away for Ross County. We need to catch up with St Mirren. We need to catch up with Dundee United. I think Dundee's in the like kind of the end of that run of games as well. How important is
Dundee's
it
the first one when we come back after the
after
couple of weeks off.
the international break? There's a thread on Hibsnet where somebody says this is normal for international break. By the way, that I was like, I can't remember ever having a season like this where it's been that you get a couple of games and then everybody fucks off for a jolly with international side for a bit.
That it's I don't know whether it's with the new Nations League format that it just this is what's kicking in. It does feel really stop and start, and then you get a million games in December.
Which is
But
ridiculous
no,
anyway.
that I think that the derbies are what they are. We have to get to the stage where one, I mean, I agree with Neil Lennon's situation is we don't define ourselves by our results against Hearts. You want to beat them, you're the rival. You want everything to go there. Um, but we can't go in playing the fixture. We play the team that's in front of us and we beat them. I mean that has to be how our attitude. We have to make it realize it's the most important thing in the world for them. They will laud Levine to the moon because he played in 23 games. I mean, despite the fact he never won anything. John Robertson sits with a Scottish Cup medal, having sat on the bench in '97. I mean, lauded. Riley's record is much better than him in terms of a medal haul. They've forgotten about their terrible trio and Cummings and everybody from the 50s in terms of their heroes that they should have.
Mhm.
I mean, because they have so defined themselves in recent years that it's all about beating Hibs. Now, I would like to think that there's enough in the team that know about that now. So certainly you'll have New O'Boyle and Hibs fans that are in there, whether it be Campbell, whether
Yeah.
it be Molotnikov, that's a given. I'm expecting that Abita, having had the season, knows what it's all about. You're expecting them to bring Petita and Hara into it. So that game becomes a battle. The game in January that we lost with the last kick of the ball, that was one of the worst derbies in a
It
long time,
was grim.
probably since the Scottish Cup game where we knocked them out after they'd beaten us. I mean, in terms of how poor it was, but no attitude and application. I mean, is about that game. It will be really important to them, but they are bottom of the league. If we can get the first punch in, then they won't stand up. So we can go back to sort of the Cummings era. I mean, where we were quite easily sort of doing the 3-1s. That's where we've got to get to in terms of the attitude. We've got to go
Yeah.
into them with that confidence. Ross County away is probably the one there where it's a Wednesday night, it's up the road, and that's going to be there's a few players who are going to come into that, and that's going to be a strange arena and a strangely quiet place, and it'll be how they react to that. I've not seen a lot of Ross County. I saw a little bit of them against Celtic. Their home form is normally quite good.
Hmm.
I don't know how much of that is just teams travelling up. We've then got, as you say, United at home, St Mirren at home, and then Dundee after the flip. I think we've actually, yeah, we've got 4 home games in the trot. I mean, after that, United, St Mirren, Dundee, and Aberdeen. So,
It'd be good if we had a better home record, for this year. We
yeah,
kind of be looking forward to like a 4 home games on the spin, thinking we could do some damage, but our home record hasn't been great there. Doesn't it feel like it over the last wee while? Which think's behind that?
I think that we've just so this season. I think we've been better at home. The Celtic game, no, we didn't really turn up. We
Mm,
weren't we hadn't done well against them in the previous week away from home. We didn't really turn up against Celtic, and they didn't really turn us over. I thought we were quite good against Dundee for large parts of the match, and again, other than 10 minutes at the beginning, 10 minutes at the end, we were probably good value there.
hmm.
You got the Motherwell game, really good for 60 minutes, not locked them out. It's moving that to 90 minutes performance is the difference. St Johnstone just didn't look a team. I mean, I don't think they endangered us at all. We got the 2 goals, and it was a walking pace in terms of how much effort we had to put in.
Hmm.
So I think we've been okay in those games. Um, I don't think the crowd's particularly hostile at the moment. Um, I think there's a lot of stuff that we're doing that's good, that's bringing the crowd into the game. I don't see any negative impact of section behind the goals, moving
Yeah,
from the east. I mean, so there's all the things that could be laid around. I mean, I don't think are there. We just need to put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah, we've seen it against Dundee. We got the goal just before half time, lifts the crowd are there. I mean, everybody's just waiting to jump in behind the team. I mean, it's not an atmosphere where everybody's starting and everybody's throwing the rocks to start
yeah.
with. Everybody's in there wanting to jump in behind the team.
We were talking just before we started recording about the sort of idea there's been a bit of a reset at the club.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's safe to say it's not a reset that everybody's got behind and everybody's sort of gone, right, we'll draw a line on what's gone before, because the ownership have had a few resets over the time, and each one's sort of got progressively worse. This one with Malcolm Mackay coming in and David Gray coming in, and then the Black Knight stuff, which is kind of its early stages, feels like it should be a wee bit different. Do you think that helps the team in that you're talking about the crowd not being particularly hostile? I think there's an understanding amongst the support that actually we are in a bit of a transitional season this season.
I think firstly, I mean, I think David Gray he doesn't get a free ticket from the crowd, but I think that the crowd know that he's coming from the right place in terms
Mm-hmm.
of what he's trying to do on the pitch. I mean, so you start from there. I think that we're from the players we're seeing, Boyle again against St Johnstone came on, looked closer to what his old self was. Hoylett has come when he's come in. I mean, we didn't get him till after the Celtic game. I mean, again, same with Kwon. So the players that have been coming in have sort of given that little bit of optimism
Yeah.
in terms of what could be, and I think that's where people are building in behind. I think the reset. I mean, give credit to sort of Liam at the Hibs Observer. I read through the article where they were looking at what the differences are for Hibs this season. And my interpretation of what he's saying is that we are better defensively. We just haven't got it right in the final third. And I think that most fans can see that.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a different profile to the team now as well. I think
Yeah.
we're like a big team. Do you know, they're not going to like falling at the trap of being like Hearts talking about a big team every time somebody asks them about anything. Maybe like a big physical team that is unusual for a Hibs side because we're not normally known to be, the team that's able to mix it up. How much a difference do you think that'll make to the season?
I think that the signing of two centre backs sort of laid that sort of marker down in terms of two players who seem to be much more comfortable defending the box. Ekpiteta in particular. Aurora, I think, does well on his side, but I mean, I think Ekpiteta is the one that's probably shone slightly brighter in terms of
Mm-hmm.
that side of the game. I hadn't realised the physical presence that Quan's got that he's brought in. I mean, so that's there. I like Triantis in that sort of holding mid last season, and so him coming in, that's it. So you've got a square there. I mean, of height. Miller, when he's playing, gives height at the right back, and Abita's got that presence. So, yeah, I think that's what's needed in this league. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we all regret the idea of we'd had somebody who could compete with Rooney at the back post. We probably had a couple of cups. I mean, it's that
Yeah.
that's the league. I mean, and that's the lessons. And I think it's noticeable that for David Gray, that's something that he's putting into the team. So this idea that we have to put something forward that competes in the Scottish League to start with, I think you can see how the squad's building. The players that have been brought in, the goalie's developing. Then he seems to like to come out for
Mm-hmm.
crosses. Um, so I think that whole idea in terms of being defensively strong, the set pieces that caught us out were tricky ones rather than missing the sort of getting out competed in the air.
Yeah.
There was a routine done that got the ball to the ground. So there's those sort of things. I'm sure they'll have looked at that the past couple of weeks to try and sort that out. But no, I think that that's an important thing in the league. There are, other than Rangers and Celtic, the other 10 teams are in a bag fighting with each other. I mean, ourselves, Hearts and Aberdeen will have between 3 and 5 times the turnover of lots of other clubs.
Yeah, definitely.
But in the league, we can only put 11 out in the pitch. Athletic ability and organisation counts for an awful lot at our level of the game. And we've got to compete with that to start with. I think the pace is what has defined us though in recent years. Where if we go back to Jack Ross's time, that's when Boyle was coming to sort of that sort of real form. When Nisbet and Doidge up top, I mean we were transitioning really fast up the
Mhm.
pitch. Hoylett seems to give us the opportunity to do that this season, and it's that him and Boyle on both wings, I think will be the important thing in the next set of games. I mean, leading up to, I mean, Boyle will want to get back into the international setup, so hopefully that'll be a carrot for him. But physicality is there in the middle, but we need the speed up top.
We've got a question from me to Linux. This, I think is how you would say that on YouTube. It says Matty and John, do you think we'll win tomorrow? I think it's unlikely we'll win tomorrow because it's Friday. Better chances than on Saturday.
Yeah.
What do you think? Think we'll win on Saturday?
But if we could get the referee to turn up tomorrow, maybe we'll just get it as a 3-0 walkover.
Okay.
Was it Estonia? Or was something many years ago with
It
Scotland?
was Estonia, yeah, but we kicked off and that was that,
We
wasn't
won the game because of the floodlights. No, it's a plan. I don't think we'll get away with it unless you're the SFA are quite in our back pocket.
it? Imagine.
But no,
Um, uh,
I bought my ticket. I go up to Tannadice confident of winning. I mean, I don't go there thinking we have no chance. Things can go against you. Kukurevich had that ridiculous goal uh, chopped off the last time he was up there. But again, we went up to the sort of the League Cup game. I think it was the 3-1 one.
yeah,
Joe Newell gets us started. And I mean, we just need to get the ball into the net. That's the thing. I couldn't tell you United's team. It's always nice to try and get one over on Jim Goodwin.
always nice. But Scott Allen hit a hat trick up at Tannadice a wee while back, didn't he? Like, didn't he? Scott Allen got
Yes,
a
I'm
hat
sure he
trick there,
did.
if I remember right. Aye. But we seem to have like either
Another
really
player
good
that got
or
booed rightly up there.
aye. I think there was another season where we were chasing top six, and I think they got a goal that was offside, or we didn't get a goal that we should have got that was onside, and we ended up missing out on top six because like one of these mental decisions going against us. Um, Linux, as I said, is optimistic, or they're optimistic. I'm assuming gender there. But if we can't take points off Motherwell at home, not sure why we all expect to beat Dundee United away. This is the thing about and we spoke about it, I think, on the last phone in, but definitely on the podcast before, about the optimism that you go into these games with as as a Hibs fan, and then you have a performance which is by and large good, and you still find yourself not coming away with the result. And that's the frustration for these games, isn't it? Where you know, like, we're probably not going to have a bad performance at Tannadice, but you wouldn't put your house on us winning the game.
Uh, none of us are glory hunters. We follow a team that competes hard in the league. We don't carry as much luck in the past couple of seasons as we maybe in years before in terms of that. I reckon that the third place under Ross in the COVID season, we were doing what Aberdeen did. We got a lot of victories, I mean, in games by just scoring more goals, not necessarily being the better team,
Mhm.
but we were just clinical. I mean, we had a front three that were just doing the business. We know that we've got a bigger budget. We know that we've got good players. We know that we can hurt other teams. We think that we've got a defence that's getting much stronger. And so you go in there saying, yeah, we've got more than a puncher's chance here. I mean, so you're not building it on the idea that this is just wild optimism. And I
Mhm.
mean, we've got a game next week against Man United, and because Man United are playing rubbish at the moment, we can go down and beat them. It's not that sort of optimism. It's we've got a good manager. Learning his game. He's got a good squad in front of him. He's got players that can influence the game. And you know something? A couple of things drop for us in the box. Yeah, that could go. I mean, and it's that sort of
Mhm.
idea. Unless, of course, somebody wants to turn around and say we can only beat 11 men because that was the St Johnstone game.
Oh,
A
I don't
10 men.
10 men, yeah. Right, that was Lee Johnson had a spell like that, didn't he?
Yeah.
All his wins came against 10 men, and that became like a sort
Mm.
of stick to beat him with. Um, right, us look at the I suppose the what ifs for the next 5 or 6 games in.
Mhm.
Right. Try to think how to frame this question, but how big an impact do you think they will have on our season? You know, whether they go well or whether they go badly. Like if it goes badly, are they fatal for us finishing fourth?
We're sitting on 5 points going into the next international break. Unless we have been absolutely diddled in all of the games, then we're in a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
Because what that will do is that the players will lose confidence, the fans will become nervous, and it'll be difficult to do anything on the pitch without the fans reacting, simply because we're trying too hard. I mean, and we're invested too heavily in us doing well. I mean, and most fans will just, the reaction is not based upon wanting the team not to do well. So if we, so out of 15 points, yeah, I mean, I suppose you should do 5 game blocks all the time. So it's marks, scores out of
Well, so at
15.
15, yeah.
Um, win your home games. So I think if I'm looking at that, I would like to take 9 points or more out of the 15.
Yeah, so we're
Now,
home.
and this is where, I mean, the worst thing we could do is draw 5 games.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody would be happy we've got an unbeaten run, but we've got 5 points. You'd be better winning 3 and losing 2.
yeah, definitely. Like five draws is not a good a good return for those 5 games.
No.
You're right.
And I think that I mean, Triantis has got himself ruled out of Saturday because he's got himself sent off last week. And I think that it's psychological more than um, arithmetical. So if you've got 5 points at the end of a round of games, that's a ridiculously low
Mm.
return. I mean, and we'd have to look really, really hard to say, what are we getting wrong? I mean, is it going wrong for us in the games, or are we simply setting up wrong and we've got it so far off? Or is it the most horrendous string of bad luck? Irrespective of that, I think that the club have to stick with Gray. I
Hmm.
mean, all that's been rebuilt, arguably, is the back line in terms of bringing in 2 centre backs. Midfield, we haven't really played a settled midfield for a couple of weeks. If Joe Newell has been carrying a hernia, I mean, for most of pre-season, I mean,
Yeah.
and started the season with it because we had nobody else to put in there, then he's been underperforming, and so you're only looking at now if he's coming back. There would be potential of a player coming in who's actually operating near 100%. So that's what you're looking for, is that, yeah, we have to do that. I mean, I think we said earlier, I think it was under Jack Ross, that Hibs would do, or they said that they had goals over a short number of games.
Yeah, they definitely did.
I would be surprised if they haven't sat and looked at that. Yeah, when you're 2 home games and don't lose the other three, gives you 9 points. I mean, that's how I got to it. I mean, I
Hmm.
think being unbeaten over the 5 and winning a couple of them would be what I would want. I mean, so I'm not going to turn around and say, yeah, 15 points, because no, I think that we're on an upward curve. I think we can get better. But if we came out with 9 points from that, we would get ourselves back to a place that we're happy with. And we've only got 5 so far this season. So I might be
Cameron,
wildly optimistic.
yeah, Cameron Gilchrist said when Hearts, Dons, and Killie under Clark finished third or fourth in the past, the key to their success was not conceding, grinding out hard-fought wins, often against the run of play. We don't seem to do this, and that's definitely a trait that Hibs need to sort of get in their locker, isn't it? Because generally, if we don't play well, we lose, and if we don't win when we're playing well, it does leave you in bother.
Yeah, the little I read and heard of the Hearts game up at Pittodrie. I mean, Hearts played well. Grant got himself sent off, and Aberdeen went and snuck a victory. I mean, he's absolutely right. I mean, the score lines are more important than performances
Hmm.
in terms of at the moment. But that's what I'm saying. I think that you have to not lose games, which I'm saying, but 5 draws would be a bad result. So I think the mentality that Hibs have to get to is that, yeah, the other team's getting 0. I
Yeah,
mean, we've not done that enough. We've dropped 2 goals too many times already this season. But again, the ones against Motherwell, they came strong in the last half hour. Triantis gets himself sent off. I mean, that there's things in there. Dundee, 10 minutes at the beginning, 10 minutes at the end.
that's pretty much it,
The
wasn't it?
that's the where the frustration. It's not everything's not the same. I mean, Motherwell scored in the 80th minute, Dundee in the 88th. I mean, it's not things that are just jumping out. Um, but no, be tight at the back. I think we're getting there. I mean, I
Hmm.
think that having been through at Parkhead for the cup game, I think Egg Potato was caught out by sort of the pace and the game roundabout. And I suspect that that's somebody from an English league coming up and having to get to grips with the Scottish game. Because whilst we are not the most fluid, Guardiolian type teams
Yeah.
up here, attitude and application and organisation are there in spades, pretty much across the top 2 divisions. I mean, so that's what we've got to overcome, but not a bit of clinical. I mean, it'd
Hmm.
be nice to see Gale get a longer spell on the pitch. I think he can be dangerous in the box. But if I'm truthful, I couldn't tell you who Dundee United are going to put on the pitch. I couldn't even tell you the name of the goalie because I'm not interested.
Aye,
It's about what Hibs do.
I like that as well. It's funny. I was joking with Liam Bryce on the Hibs Observer after we finished recording yesterday. Was it yesterday, the day before? Um, I very nearly suggested putting Danny Rose in for the Jordan Abita at left back, and then I realised it was because I had signed him for on my football manager save. Doesn't actually play for us. I was just getting kind of confused between reality and computer games. Um,
Once
the
again, Iredale is sitting in the background. We don't know
yeah,
if Iredale's up to fitness. If is he going to trouble the squad at the weekend? But again, the hope is that we're effectively +1 this weekend. Okay, we're down Triantis, but hopefully we're going to be up Boyle. We're going to be up Newell.
yeah,
So when we're looking at players that can come on and influence across the whole 90 minutes, we're closer whether Campbell or Molotnikov or Levitt are playing. I mean, in that central position, trying to create at the top of the pitch. Yeah, we've got choices there, so we should
mm,
have about 14 players that can come on and have a strong influence in the game.
you
And
and
here's hoping that
still,
Ellie has found a bit of
yeah.
mojo.
Um, I suppose the other dynamic to this weekend's game is the fact that it's followed by the derby. I think Hearts are sitting on 2 points. We are sitting on 5 points. There's only 3 points between the clubs. They've played a game more than us, but
Mind
we
the
could,
gap.
yeah, we could, depending on how results go on Saturday or over the weekends. I can't remember if Hearts or Saturday or Sunday they're playing, but that gap could be equal in points, or we could have pulled away from them.
Mhm.
Ideally, you want to be going into that derby with a bit of a buffer there because if we're level on points with them or they have a chance of catching us, you don't just know that motivation is going to be there for them to try and overturn it. Um, what would that be something that David Gray would use to motivate the team? Do you think on Saturday to say, look, he's want to be going into this game, not having to be looking over your shoulder next week?
I think the standards will be set higher than that. I think the
Good.
standards will be set to say you're playing Dundee United on Saturday. Anybody who's thinking about a derby the following week, you're not playing because your head's not in it. I mean, give the respect to the team that's there. But come 6:30 on Saturday night, it'll be made perfectly clear to them. I mean, what should be coming out of that? I mean, David Gray had his results against Hearts. I mean, he knows what the attitude that can be in there to sort of win these games. And I think it's important that we turn up. I mean, that's, as I say, the challenge. I've seen too many games against Hearts at home where we have been the dominant team.
Hmm.
I mean, whether it's Stevenson's toe poke from outside the area, Oskar coming up at the end, and again, you don't celebrate draws if you're a big team. But anyway,
Bring out a beer.
the I mean, we've seen enough of those. But again, I celebrated a draw at Tynecastle back in 2016. I mean, I was quite happy with it. I mean, so there's that whole idea, the competitiveness between the two teams is there. We just have to have the players on the pitch. And again, that's a game where that's where your Campbells come back into it.
Yeah.
I mean, so we've had that whole discussion about who you're going to play. I'm hoping that for this weekend that we're playing a team that can move fast up the pitch. I mean, because I'm expecting the home team to try and press us a bit more, but I want us to be able to counter. Now, against Motherwell in the first half, I think there was a point where we had 4 in the counter, but they had already got 7 back because they had 5 in a line running back, and their 2 defensive mids were there as well. They can afford to do that away from home. I don't see that being Dundee United's way of playing. You know what I mean? And Jim Goodwin's way of playing at home. That's what I think is going to be important in terms of how Gray chooses a team. And that's a test. I mean, I think that the Motherwell game, I think criticism of Campbell, not personal, but probably not the right player to be in that game. I think there's been lots said about do you keep a team that's performed well, or do you put players in terms of the horses for courses? I think we will play different teams against Dundee United and Hearts because there's different things. Against Hearts, we will have a midfield out that will win the battle first.
I'm quite looking forward to that matchup in the derby. I think we've obviously got to get Dundee. This is us, like you said, play the team in front of you, then get carried away. And I'm already thinking about midfield smashes in the derby at Easter Road.
But if you think of Triantis, Quan and Newell being your 3 in midfield in the derby,
you take that.
I mean, simply because all are really comfortable on the ball. All have got tackle in them. Newell's a couple of too many tackles against Hearts in the past. I mean, but we just have to go in there, and you're looking for Boyle to come. I mean, again, Boyle comes back, the right hand side immediately gets the balance. I like Cadden, and Cadden's done reasonably well on that side. And I can see being Cadden and Miller at the weekend because I think that Cadden and Boyle at the weekend. Sorry, because I think Miller will be on the bench having come back to Tokyo.
I think he'll be tired, yeah.
Yeah, but that was well balanced. I saw the Observer were floating a 3 at the back. I don't think we have the wing backs to do that really, because if we do that, we will have Cadden on the right, Obita on the left, and the problem is that where are you putting Boyle? I mean, we lose our wingers. I mean, Hoylett and Boyle don't get in there because you're playing a striker, 3 midfielders, and 1 other player. I mean, and that's where the compromise comes.
Yeah.
So I think that the sort of that four at the back with players in front going forward, 2 wingers and a striker, is how we'll set up.
I think with that, what we've seen is we need the midfielders to be hitting the box. So because if you're playing that lone striker, we're pretty bad at hitting them with the crosses. Paul Brodie said we'll get pumped the next 2 games. Gray will be gone by January. Harry McConaughey, sorry, butchered that. He says that's the spirit. And Charlie Banks is all about confidence. Teams with confidence do well. See Aberdeen. I think the confidence is massive. Really, like I think it feels to me when I watch Hibs just now that when it clicks for us, it will probably stay clicked for a wee while because the team will have that confidence. Just now, I think it's pretty fragile and we don't cope very well with adversity. So when it happens, you see like what happened against Motherwell because the man sent off, and that says we're never in the game again after that point.
And I think the main we've said it before. Doidge's first goal in the hat-trick up at St Johnstone, I mean, was the rebound off the goalie for a shot that he should have done that almost sort of bounced off him to go in. Let's do stuff like that. Let's create the chances, make sure they're in the 6-yard box, and take them. But again, if the defence can become really miserly, 11 players on the pitch, be really miserly, play to your ability. I mean, be confident that you can be a better player than the opposite number out there. They're going to try as hard as you, and they can probably run within 0.1 of a second of you. I mean, so you're not 10 times better, but you've got the craft and the guile to do it, and this is the point about David Gray will be gone in the next two games. We said earlier that there was a reset in the summer. Now, as somebody whose first game was a New Year's Day game against Clydebank back in the late 70s because Hearts had been relegated, and it was, I mean, and 10-year-old me was delighted to be sitting on a bench in the cowshed. Like, I've seen lots of downs and occasional ups with Hibs. So I mean, the idea that another reset has happened, but this one has to play out.
Mhm.
I mean, we have Malcolm Mackay. If Malcolm Mackay is coming in at the start of the summer, he has looked at what the recruitment was. He's prioritised and signed through with Gray, getting two central defenders in. The goalie's sorted out. They've managed to get two loan players in to patch up centre mid and a big striker in to patch up. We've brought Gale in at short notice. We've been really unlucky with Bowie.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of bringing that side in. The how we're playing at the moment compared to, I think you would have to go back to occasionally under Lee Johnston, we had that level of control and moving forward,
Mhm.
but not as much as he promised us. Under Maloney, it was far too static, imprecise, and
Yeah.
overcoached. And Montgomery last season suffered from a lack of flexibility. So if we're looking at sort of all the mistakes that have been made, yeah, Gray's sits above Montgomery probably in terms of performance, but not results, and Maloney certainly. So you're almost going back to Jack Ross. You know what I mean? To say that was the last time we've got somebody who was trying to play in this way. He now needs to get the front three to do what Jack Ross's front three did.
I think that's absolutely critical. Like as soon as we start scoring and scoring regularly, I mean it's captain obvious, really, isn't it? But that is the thing that's missing from us is not capitalising on the chances that we create. Ian Tockel said don't have a good reason why because we're not really shown much, but I think we will win on Saturday. I always think we'll win it. Like it's that's just the optimism in you.
The thing is, I mean, I was sitting, I mean, I was standing watching the game at Parkhead. We get the goal back. I mean, I was still thinking we had a chance to win that because
Aye,
somebody has to win. I mean, we're going into a game where it'll be we've got six sixes and seven sevens and five fives all over our history. I mean, a 7-7 I can't think of, but 6-6 and 5-5s all over our history. I mean, the past couple of decades. So yeah, you do get those games, but there will typically be three or four goals on Saturday at the most.
hmm
And I'm just backing the idea that we can score more than they can because I'm getting a bit more confidence in the defence, and I think that the top of the pitch will come good. And you follow the team.
yeah. And you give them the backing. Right, I think we might call it there. John, we've done well.
Ideal.
Thank you very much. I know it's just the two of us, and I thought we might have some more folk on. And I think the international breaks is sort of notorious
Mhm.
when there's no game on for folk engaging. So I really do appreciate your time coming on. Thanks to everybody who left comments and tuned in. And we will be back with our preview show with other John. I think you can now take John's status. Other John. we'll be back with me and Colin tomorrow to preview. So watch out for that. And then get your talking points in post game on Saturday. We'll cover them on Long Bangers on Sunday. Right, thanks for